Okay, so today I'm trying something new. I've never done a video like this. I've seen a lot of people do videos like this on YouTube, and I always find them somewhat entertaining, interesting to watch. I'm doing a full face of makeup products I hate. I've done a couple of videos recently sharing makeup products that have not worked out for me in 2023, and I like to talk about those products. I think it's important to share the good and the bad, but I've never done like a full face of them all together. So I think this could be kind of interesting. Like, what if I try all these products on together and I end up with like a really good complete look? I don't think that will happen because there are reasons why I don't like these products, but I'm going to do my best to make it work out. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If anything, I hope it's interesting or entertaining. Let's jump into it. What should we start with? Let's start with this lip oil from Merit. I really wanted to love this. Like, in the packaging, the color looks so beautiful. And obviously a lot of lip oils are not quite as intense as they actually look in the bottle. They tend to be more sheer overall, which I am completely okay with. But on the lips, this really doesn't look anything like it does in the tube. The other issue with this for me is that it is one of those pH changing formulas. So it starts off looking pretty sheer, and then eventually it almost leaves behind like a hot pink tint. I like the texture of this product. Like, as you apply it, it feels like a true lip oil. It's very lightweight, very glossy, really pretty. And honestly, once it does wear off, my lips feel hydrated, which is a nice touch because, believe it or not, a lot of lip oils actually dry my lips out. And I know some of you have had that same experience. The last con for me is just that the packaging feels pretty underwhelming. For $24, I just want like a little bit more of a luxurious experience. I love like a big giant doe foot applicator, especially for lip oil. And this one is so tiny, so I feel like I have to dip back into the bottle and reapply it over and over. So for $24, it just has a lot of cons in my personal opinion. So I don't think this is worth the money. For face primer, I'm going to use this one from Essence. Now, this is an affordable product, but I just don't find that it really does anything for me. This is their Hydro Hero Primer. It's supposed to be a 48-hour hydrating formula with hyaluronic acid and cucumber extract. When it comes to primers, I usually like something that is more smoothing or pore filling, or something that has a little bit of a grip to it. If you do like primers that basically feel like daily moisturizers, you might enjoy this one. But I also feel like once it dries down, it doesn't, like, my skin no longer feels moisturized. This does have a pretty strong cucumber scent to it. It's almost like a citrusy, fresh scent. So if you don't like scented base products, that's probably another reason to skip over this. The other reason why I'm not the biggest fan of this overall is because when I wear some foundations on top of this, they end up separating really badly by the end of the day, which I find kind of strange for a moisturizing formula. That can happen to me with more of like a smoothing formula, but not typically with a hydrating or moisturizing primer. So in the end, I just find that it didn't do much for me, and in some cases, my foundation would not last. For foundation, I'm going to use one that I haven't really used in a while. I was using this in the beginning of the year, and again, sometimes this product looks good on the skin, but the majority of the time I find it kind of difficult to work with. It's the NYX Bear With Me Blurring Tint Foundation. So I have two shades I'm going to kind of mix together, 05 Vanilla and 06 Soft Beige. I'm kind of nervous about this one because I haven't used it in a little while. So typically I do find the best way to apply this is to almost blend it in with your finger and then go over it with a brush or a sponge. This looks like pretty intense when you first start applying it, but I do find that you can sheer it out as you actually use your brush or your sponge. So when I first tried this foundation, I did really like it, but I found that it was super mattifying. So I would say if you have dry skin or even combo skin with really obvious drier areas, I wouldn't recommend trying this one because if you have any dryness on your skin, it's going to cling to that area and really enhance it. If you have oily skin, I think you'll probably appreciate the fact that it is pretty mattifying. And the last time I tried it, it was still really cold outside. So I told myself that I kind of wanted to hang on to it because I figured I would maybe enjoy using it during the summertime when my skin tends to be more oily. But beyond that, the other issue for me is that it doesn't always play well with other complexion products I own. So if I'm wearing, or I found that if I was wearing like a primer that I used with a lot of other foundations, sometimes I would apply this on top of that primer and all of a sudden it would separate, or it would look patchy or uneven. Sometimes if I layer certain cream cheek products over this, they don't sit well, they start to separate. Okay, here's how the foundation looks on the skin. I feel like I probably could have gone in with a little bit more of the deeper shade, but it's fine. We'll come together in the end. The weird part is I didn't even realize my skin was kind of dry, specifically on my forehead and then on my upper lip, but this foundation enhances all of the dryness. So I'm telling you, if you deal with any sort of dryness, this will not be the most ideal formula. It does have like a very smooth finish to it. So anywhere where I have like large pores or fine lines, it kind of blurs that area really nicely, which is why I do like it. But again, it just brings so much attention to any dryness on the skin. It is a long wearing formula, but in the end, I don't really care if my foundation lasts all day if it doesn't look good initially. So next I'm going to use this Huda Beauty concealer. I really wanted to love this. This shade's a little bit light for me. I have the shade Merengue 2.1. I know a lot of people love this concealer so much. This is a pretty long wearing formula, a pretty full coverage concealer, and it definitely is more on the mattifying side as well. But I just find that it's a little bit too mattifying for me. I feel like a few years ago, this would have been my favorite formula ever. But these days, I do like something that is a little bit more hydrating on the skin. Some of my favorites right now are the Catrice True Skin Concealer, also the Flower Beauty Get Real Serum Concealer. I love that one. Oh, this looks so bad. I feel like this combined with the NYX foundation obviously is not going to be the most ideal, but I don't know. Every time I wear this, I just notice that it looks really heavy, very cakey on my skin. And it also, again, it's just so dry looking. Like it just sucks all of the moisture out of my skin. I was dealing with dry skin during the winter time. And I mean, again, now that it's summer, my skin is kind of back to more of its true, it's not quite as oily as it used to be, but it does tend to be a little bit more oily. So I thought maybe the NYX foundation and this Huda Beauty concealer would end up working out for me now that my skin is more oily, but I don't know. I don't think that's going to be the case. I'm going to set my under eye concealer into place with this CoverGirl powder. This CoverGirl powder does look good initially. It is their Clean Invisible Loose Powder. I have the shade 105 Translucent Fair. Part of the reason why I don't like this is the packaging. The lid is kind of hard to remove, and then there's so much powder in the actual container. Like there's no lid to close over that, so it ends up getting pretty messy. So that's a little bit of a pet peeve. But the other issue with this powder is that it ends up looking pretty cakey throughout the day. Initially, it looks good, and I remember trying this for the first time on camera, and I was like, oh, my under eyes, my skin, like everything looks really smooth. And again, I think right now it does look good, but after a few hours, I feel like it starts to settle and it looks really heavy on the skin. It feels a little bit heavy when you're initially applying it. Like it doesn't feel like a very lightweight, undetectable powder. And at first I wasn't opposed to that because sometimes that means it can be more long wearing. But I just, as I get older, I have more fine lines, I have more texture on my skin, and I feel like it really enhances those areas throughout the day. Even as I'm sitting here applying this powder, I'm like, wait, this powder looks kind of good on the skin. Like my base was not perfect by any means to begin with, but this just kind of gives everything like that smooth, even finish. So I don't know. I'm going to have to watch and see how my skin looks after a few hours because I swear every time I use this, it ends up breaking down and I don't like it. I will set the rest of my face in just a second, but first I want to use a cream bronzer and a cream blush. I wanted to love this product so much. This is from e.l.f. These are the Halo Glow Beauty ones. So I have the contour ones and the blush ones. I didn't include the highlight ones in today's video because I don't have a big issue with those. I wouldn't say they're like my favorite liquid highlighters of all time, but they're not quite as bad as the contour ones or the blush ones. So many of you love this product, and I really, really wanted it to work out for me. Today I'm going to use the shade Fair Light. I'm just putting this on the back of my hand because if I apply it directly to my cheeks and then blend it in, it looks even more patchy. Every time I use this product, specifically the contour, it ends up looking so streaky on me, and I can't get like a smooth, even application. A lot of you are like, well, it's not my favorite product. Like it has some downsides, but it's a lot less expensive than Charlotte Tilbury, which I totally get because I think the Charlotte Tilbury contour ones are like $42 and these are, I believe, 8 or 9. So I totally get it. I've actually never tried the Charlotte Tilbury contour wand, but I do like the Flower Beauty one. That one, in my experience, is very smooth, really even. There's like no patchiness, no streakiness with it. The other thing about this formula is it's almost a little bit watery. So as you apply it, it shears itself out, which could be ideal if you don't want anything too over the top, but I think that almost adds to the streakiness. Then you have to go in and build it up, and as you layer it, it doesn't necessarily layer well. If I'm being completely fair, I wouldn't say that I'm always the biggest fan of liquid cheek products. I love cream cheek products. That being said, there are definitely other liquid formulas I find that look more smooth, more even, don't end up looking quite as streaky. I don't know, this doesn't look terrible today. I wouldn't say it's really streaky. It did kind of lift my foundation a little bit, and I do think it enhances texture a little more than other formulas I've tried, but it's not quite as bad as it can be. So for blush, I am going to use one of the Halo Glow Beauty ones. I have two shades. I have Candlelit and Rosé You Slay. Which shade should I use today? I feel like Candlelit is almost a little bit too light. Like that is probably more of a highlight shade for me. Rosé You Slay is pretty. Maybe I'll end up mixing them together. I feel like that could be a good color. Okay, so the thing about this formula, again, it's a little bit streaky on me. It's not quite as bad as the contour formula, but these are so metallic. Listen, I love a good glowy blush. Glowy blushes are my favorite, but I find that these are a little bit too metallic. Like they don't have that pretty lit from within glow to them. I think they almost look like metallic highlighters on the skin. Because these are so metallic, I think they just bring so much attention to the texture on my cheeks. And like it just looks cakey. Like look where it kind of meets my concealer. It just ends up like erasing the concealer, the foundation, and it ends up looking cakey, and then it lifts the foundation. Like in the end, it just doesn't look good on my skin. A lot of liquid blushes can do that. So I'm not saying this is the only formula that does that for me personally, but because I've had such a good experience with like the Rare Beauty formula, even the Profusion formula, I tend to prefer to stick with those. I do think Charlotte Tilbury's blush formula is gorgeous, but $42 is too expensive. I ended up getting it as a mini. I got like a mini set around the holidays, which was perfect. So I think it's nice that e.l.f. has a more affordable alternative. The formula just doesn't end up working out for me, to be honest. I'm just going to take a small amount of the CoverGirl powder and just lightly set the rest of my makeup into place. I was going to say so it doesn't move. I don't know that it's really going to go anywhere because I feel like my base is super matte today. Definitely more matte than I typically go these days. Okay, I just did my brows, so I was looking in the mirror because right now I'm just mainly using my viewfinder, so I'm not super close to it. Look how bad my skin looks. Like, look at this cakiness under my eyes. Everything looks so bad in this area. I think this concealer combined with this powder is not a good mixture, but I'm going to keep going. So for eyes, I'm going to use the Too Faced Pinker Times Ahead palette. This really surprised me, to be honest with you, because I've tried a couple of Too Faced palettes over the past few years, and I found the quality to be pretty good overall, but this quality was just, it was bad. The matte shadows are incredibly powdery, and usually the shimmers in Too Faced palettes are pretty good, like pretty vibrant, really smooth, intense. A lot of these are really underwhelming, but I'm going to use it today to create probably a pink look because that's the majority of the shadows in here. Let's start with this shade. It's already so powdery, like just dipping my brush in a few times. There's eyeshadow everywhere. The thing about this palette is in the end, the look usually does turn out fine, or I can incorporate shadows from another palette or like a single ColourPop Super Shock shadow, and I can usually get there. But there are just so many good eyeshadow palettes these days, like even affordable palettes. I recently tried the new Catrice palettes that are $6, and the quality was significantly better than the quality with this one. Now, the majority of them are pretty neutral leaning, and this is obviously a little bit more of a colorful palette, but if you want good, affordable, colorful shadows, ColourPop has a ton of options. Next, I'm going to take a little bit of this shade right here. This is a little bit of like a medium toned pink with some orange, a little bit of brown to it. I'm just going to use this to darken up the crease. I'm just going to take that shadow on my lower lash line as well, just to tie things together. For the lid, I can't decide if I'm going to go in with this one or this one. Let's start with this one and then maybe add, let's do this one and then add a little bit of this one on top. See this darker pink shade, or I guess it looks like a darker pink shade in the pan. I thought it was going to be a little bit more vibrant, and every time I use it, I'm like, I mean, it's fine. It's not like the worst shimmer shadow I've ever tried, but it's so underwhelming compared to other metallic pink shadows I've tried. Like, again, ColourPop, the Super Shock shadows are so beautiful, and I feel like because this one has like that foiled design in it, it just looks a lot more interesting than it actually does on the eye. Like on the eye, it's pretty underwhelming. I totally get that some people do like a softer look overall. Like maybe you don't want an over the top hot pink look, which, I completely understand, and I do like softer looks too. But I think when you look at this palette, it looks like there is maybe more versatility than there actually is because a lot of the shadows are very soft, very light. So for the waterline, I am going to use the Melt Slick Waterline Eye Pencil in the shade Ivory. I've talked about this a little bit on my channel. I love the fact that this pencil is so creamy. It really is so smooth. Like it just glides on the waterline effortlessly. Like it's the creamiest eyeliner pencil I've ever tried, but it does not last on my waterline. Like it does not dry down. It basically just like fades away within an hour or two. Interestingly enough, I've gotten some comments from some of you saying that you actually find it to be really long wearing. So again, makeup works differently for everyone. I love the fact that it is so creamy. It just doesn't last on my waterline. I do have pretty watery eyes, so I think that might contribute to it. If you have dry eyes, maybe you'll find that it lasts all day long. But for me, I just need my eyeliner to stay in place a little bit longer than this one does. For mascara, I have two. I guess I can use both of them. Let's start with this one. This is the Pacifica Activist Volume and Curl Mascara. The packaging is gorgeous. It actually comes in a glass bottle, which I don't know that I've ever had a mascara come in a glass bottle before. The wand is really large, and I don't have small eyes, so I think if you do have smaller eyes, this might be pretty difficult to use because even for me, as someone who doesn't usually mind a little bit of a larger wand, I find that it's just a little bit too big. But when I use this product, I don't know, it's just such an underwhelming mascara. Like it really doesn't give me any volume. I wouldn't say it is particularly great at curling my lashes. This is a little bit of almost like a waxy formula. I'm pretty sure, I don't have the description pulled up in front of me right now, but I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be good for sensitive eyes. I believe it's made with like, I want to say plant fibers or something like that. I just remember that it has like some interesting claims to it. But for me, it just looks underwhelming every single time I use it. I'm kind of making a mess because the wand is just so, so big. So I feel like it's hard to apply this product without making a mess. So that's what it looks like with about two coats. Very natural, like a barely there look, which again, I know some people really like. I think if it had a smaller wand or even like a different shaped wand, I might be able to build it up a little bit more. But every time I wear it, I just feel like I'm wanting something more. Like I'm not typically a very natural mascara type of fan. The other mascara that I have today is this one from Fenty. I actually really like the way the Fenty mascara looks. It applies so nicely. It builds really well. So you get a lot of volume, a lot of drama, and also length as well. But the issue with this one is that it flakes on me by the end of the day. So it looks really good for the first few hours. And then I notice around like hour 4 or 5 that there are like black flakes all over my cheeks from this product. It sucks because the formula is good, like it looks great on my lashes. I will say it's also a little bit of a heavier formula, so it definitely weighs my lashes down. It doesn't give them like a lifted, fluttery look. You get the drama, the volume, the length, but the flaking and the fact that it weighs them down are definite cons for me. And then here's what the Fenty mascara looks like on this side. So obviously more dramatic than the Pacifica mascara. I went in with like maybe 1.5 coats. I wouldn't say it was like 2 complete coats because then I feel like the difference would be even more extreme. But again, I love the way this one looks. I think it is really pretty. It doesn't last on me. For highlighter, I'm going to use this one from Essence. I really wanted to love this, and you know what? I can make this work as an inner corner highlighter. It's just called the highlighter, and this one's in the shade Staggering. It is a pretty color. I'm just going to take a little bit of this right on the inner corner. I know people love this formula, and again, it is pretty as an inner corner highlight, but on the cheeks, it just it's a little bit too intense for me. Usually when it comes to Essence highlighters, they look really good on the skin. The Pure Nude highlighter looks nice. I also love those glowy powders that are kind of like blush, highlighter, bronzers all in one. But I just find that this one really enhances all of the texture on my skin. Like right here specifically is where I kind of struggle with acne scarring and just texture. That's usually where I apply pretty much any highlighter, but some highlighters don't enhance the texture as much as this one. If you don't deal with texture on your skin or you don't have acne scarring or that isn't really an area where you're concerned about, this might not be an issue for you. But if you're like me and you like to wear a highlighter, but that is a little bit more of just not like your favorite spot on your face to draw attention to, this probably won't be the most ideal formula for that reason. For lips, I am going to use this Too Faced Lip Plumping Lip Liner. This one is in the shade Post-Op Pink. So this is a really good formula. It's very creamy. It glides on the lips so nicely, but then it dries down and it actually locks your lipstick into place. But I can already feel it. It has a plumping feel to it. A lot of Too Faced products have like that intense plumping feel, almost like a stinging or a burning. The issue with this one is that you get like that tingly feel, but it doesn't plump up the lips. Like there is absolutely no difference in the way my lips look before I use this product and afterwards. On top of that, I am going to use the Rare Beauty Tinted Lip Oil. I have the shade Happy. I really, really wanted to like this product. I was so excited when I saw Rare Beauty was launching lip oils because I love a good lip oil, but this is not a typical lip oil formula. It's basically like a glossy lip stain. I feel like people either love this product or they hate it. And I think because it was marketed as a lip oil, that's what I wanted it to be. I wanted that super shiny, wet looking finish. And it doesn't look like that initially. Like it almost has a little bit more of a satin finish. And then that glossy layer wears off pretty quickly. Because I do have a lip liner underneath, the stain will look more even than it typically does. If I'm just wearing this product on its own, the stain looks pretty patchy. And again, I know there are people who love this product, but I just think there are so many alternatives out there that are better. I love the Fenty formula. I think ColourPop's formula is great. The e.l.f. glossy lip stains are only a few dollars and those are really nice too. I do love Rare Beauty, but this is definitely not my favorite product. Okay, here is the final look. I actually don't think it looks terrible from far away, but when you get up close, that's kind of where it falls apart. I think the primer combined with the concealer and then also the powder, maybe the foundation, like the base does not look good, especially in this area. And then add in the blush and the highlighter and everything combined just looks so bad. But I will say I was kind of surprised by a few of the products today, specifically the contour. This did not look quite as bad today. And I almost wonder if it's because I didn't over apply it because I wasn't really trying to build it up too much. I mean, I did build it up a little bit, but it wasn't as streaky as I remember it being. So maybe this would be a little bit better on more natural makeup days. I actually kind of like this combo of the Too Faced lip liner and the Rare Beauty lip oil. The Too Faced liner does still sting the lips, but it's not quite as intense. And I wonder if it's because I had this lip oil on before applying this, so it almost created like a little bit of a barrier. I mean, I can feel it, but it's not so uncomfortable that I feel like I need to take it off. And I do think wearing this lip liner underneath the Rare Beauty product just creates more of like a smooth, even base. So this looks more even. I mean, I haven't had it on all day by any means, but I know this product extends the wear of any lip product on top. But overall, I've definitely been reminded why I don't like a lot of these products, especially the base products. So thank you so much for watching. I hope today's video was a little bit fun, at least entertaining. I really appreciate you being here. I'll put a couple of other related videos on the screen for you, and I would love for you to subscribe if you're not already subscribed. I'll be sharing more new videos soon, and I'll see you very soon with a new one. Bye.